So, originally, uh, New World was sold with a regional lock on it. Then I found later that they did open the EU and the East Coast servers that you could change between them, no matter whether you bought the game on the North American Steam or the European Steam. My dilemma was every time I logged in, trying to log in from Europe after I got deployed here, was I kept running into crash errors. I kept running into authentication problems. It would just sit and just continuously load and not do anything. I wrote to Steam several times asking, how can this be fixed? And their only resolution was open a European Steam account and buy the game again, lose all your progress on 7,000 plus hours of gaming time on your other one. And in this case, on this particular one, is over 3,000 hours just on Eternium alone, not counting all my other games. And I'm like, well, that's sort of stupid. I looked at different suggestions where people said, you could use a VPN, you could go into your protocol settings in your internet and change the IP to mask it, all sorts of things. And some of it, as I tested it, did work to a certain degree. In others, it only made the situation more frustrating and worse. And in some cases, using VPNs and so on can violate your term of user agreements and get you banned. So I gave up playing the game for a while. And then I wound up that I did not go back to the North America as my original plans when I was in the military. I eventually finished up my last 6 years here. I was medically retired due to war zone related injuries and stayed in Germany for other more reasons other than no, I did not have a German girlfriend or wife at the time. But that dilemma still stuck with me with a lot of these games that were regionally locked. And then I found out for those that have opened up, like Neverwinter, Neverwinter Nights, New World, and so on, that you could now go European or North American servers. My dilemma was the authentication. I had an American Steam. The American Steam had me processed through my military Army Post Office box. Okay? My APOAE, Army Post Office, Army Europe. And so I was having to use a VPN to log in just to be able to access the stuff. Because otherwise it would not authenticate. It would go, oh, your account is in America, but the IP we're receiving is in Europe, so you can't use it. The game may be hacked. What I did find out later, though, and this may have been something that was done over the last couple of years, I'm not sure, because every time I wrote Steam asking them for assistance on how to fix this, I got their typical open a European Steam account and rebuy all the games, which is nice for them but not for my wallet. However, I did find out if you go up to, you log in and you go to your manage account, go to your view profile. In your view profile, we're going to edit profile. And as you scroll down, you're going to see location. Now, if you are a soldier and you're deployed to Europe and you want to be able to access them and the game is still not regionally locked, you can actually bypass all of this stuff and not worry about being banned by simply changing your location. And by doing that, however, you cannot keep swapping back and forth. Because if you keep doing that, you're going to trigger their anti-cheat and you're going to get banned. So if you plan on changing this, plan to keep your location changed at least for 1 to 2 years, or if you're with family, 3 to 6 years while you're in Europe. When you go back, you can change your location again. This now will check this region for my login IP, and that solves a lot of problems. You tell it to save, and you're done. Now I don't have to use a VPN or anything. I can directly log in using my local IP, and I still occasionally will get an unable to verify message every once in a while. However, I don't have a lot of the extended lag. I get a bit faster load in time, and I don't deal with all the crashes and stuff where sometimes doing some of this stuff people suggested would take me 10 to 15 minutes just to log into the bloody game, and then it could still crash on me. So when you hear in some of the previous number 1 through 15, if I'm talking about this, the lag and so on, it's because no one at Steam pointed out this simple fix. All their thing was go buy the new game and everything. And I ran across this on a YouTube channel somewhere, or it may have been Reddit, that they were discussing this. And one person goes, hey, well, I had the same problem, and this is what I found out. So, to save people a lot of hassles and so on, especially military and family members and contractors, this is how, if you're running into that issue, this is how that it should 90 to 99% of the time fix the problem, unless the very particular game is a specific regionally locked, and then it's still going to tell you your IP is out of the region. However, that's that on that, and hopefully it will save a lot of our military family members and contractors and so on issues when they're deployed into Europe and they still want to play their game and play with their friends. I do get a faster connection via, if I was to go to the log in now on my German IP and go to like Frankfurt, to their servers in Frankfurt, I'm going to get like a 15 ms, which is wonderful. However, all of my friends stateside, anywhere from beyond, say, Cincinnati, going toward the west, their latency becomes so bad trying to log into there, it just makes it an uneven and non-enjoyable gaming experience for the group. And so we all decided to go use the East Coast server, and this is how we're still staying within. Sometimes I'll get a 110 to 120. My average is about 130, 135 ms. Not great. I have to do a lot of jimmying in the video section, which we'll get into in a second, but it will get you through it, and then you can do your solo play if you want on a European, and eventually when you go back to the States, maybe just transfer those characters over. All right. So now that I've changed over, I shouldn't be getting a lot of these timeout sequences and stuff. So I can go into Steam. In this case, I want to open Steam first so it can validate the IP and stuff, and it will make things much easier, a lot faster and so on as far as installation. We're still going to get some latency and some lag on the load in, but it is what it is until eventually we get the fiber optic here, and that should really help a lot with this. The primary issue had been I did not want to get banned, and there was some of these workarounds that could have had that happen. I wanted to find a legitimate way to do it and still be able to access my games. So we're going to go down to New World. Now I'll probably just cut this out at this point while it's logging in on the video, but it will depends on how fast we load up here. So we still got a login malfunction, but it seems to have caught itself. Uh, Again, it's part of the fact that they never, I don't know, all these people go thank you for your service and blah, 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 blah. But you never see these gaming companies and so on trying to put a little bit of effort and go out of their way just a little bit to help the military members, family, personnel, and contractors when it comes to this kind of thing. It's like they give a lot of lip service, but something that could be just as simple as a little extra coding for that would make life a lot easier for all of us. And I don't understand why they're so chintzy and close-assed about it as not to do those few changes. Now, because we've got such a low ping right there, it may take it a minute to load everything. Okay, it took friggin' forever to log in. And as you can tell, even with the low graphics settings, it's going to take a while for it to catch up. Sometimes it catches up, sometimes it doesn't. Right now I'm running a 140 latency with about a 50 or 49 response. I'm hoping once we get the fiber optic in here and go to gigabyte server that will fix a lot of this issue on my end. But a lot of people have been complaining about this issue and latency login unless they're right near the servers, which is somewhere in Virginia, I think. I think it's Virginia District of Columbia or something. So people like, see here, if you look to the left, you see that little icon? That's showing that it's a connection, low connection. Now I can try to fix this and hope it doesn't mess everything up, which I'm going to exit the main menu and try to reload. One of the things while we're here though is you'll notice in my video I've got it windowed. I'm only running one monitor. I've got it deadpanned at max of 60 frames per second. My computer can do much more than that. Okay? It can literally go totally uncapped and do around, I think I was at one point in this game uncapped, I was running like, what, 200 or whatever. Maybe if we uncap it, it'll... Resolution scaling, I have that turned off. I've gotten everything low to medium except terrain details. I like those terrain details because it allows me to see where I'm going easier. But, see, and by doing that one little change, boom, everything caught right back up. I'm still only doing 50 or so frames per second, but that's primarily because of the latency. Anyway, I hope that that's been of some use to you folks, and be sure to like, subscribe, post messages. If you want to get into the game and would like help and so on, you can always message me in the chat here, and I will get with you on a time and everything. We can meet up in Discord, maybe do a screen share. I can walk you through your problems or whatever. So enjoy.